c'est Madame Charman ici, and today we are going to be infiltrating the mind of an AQA GCSE French listening paper exam question writer. Wow, that was a mouthful. So I know that the listening exam is the exam that my students usually dread the most. It's the most difficult. But actually, once you kind of understand how the examiners write the questions, the sort of tricks that they try and put in place to catch you out, the easier it becomes. Because quite often I have students, they know all of their vocab, all of the key vocab for all of their topics. They will still find the listening difficult, either through lack of practice or through not being caught out by these traps that the examiners set. So let's get started. Oh, before we start, you will need, my class, you'll need your vocab lists in the back of your exercise books, because any new vocab that we come across, you are going to be writing on that list. You will also need a separate piece of paper where you're going to write down the answers to these questions. So basically what I've done is I've looked back at recent past papers, listening past papers, and I've looked at the sort of vocab that is used, those little words that are used that catch people out because they don't know them but can totally change the meaning of a sentence. And I've also looked at the tricks that examiners put in place to catch people out, and I've written my own questions based on that. I've also focused on the topic of school and future plans work, because that's what my class have been doing this term. So, without further ado, allons-y, commençons, let's start. So, oh, by the way, I must thank my friend Emmeline, who has kindly recorded, done these recordings for me. I wanted you to be able to have an authentic French voice to listen to, because of course that's what's used in the listening exam, but also, you know, I am a French teacher. I'm pretty confident in my knowledge of French. However, I will still have a bit of an English accent. So it's not as useful for you as an authentic authentic French person doing the recording. So merci, mon amie Emmeline. Right, Lucy. We're going to look at this character, Lucy. There she is in her school her blue school uniform, son uniforme scolaire bleu. We need to decide, did she start at her secondary school when she was 11? Has she studied English for many years? Has she studied German for many years? This type of question makes up a large bulk of the listening papers, the choice of three, the multiple choice of three.
Lucie est élève à son collège depuis 11 mois. C'est la première fois qu'elle étudie l'anglais. Par contre, avant, elle a appris l'allemand pendant 5 ans. Malheureusement, elle ne peut pas choisir l'allemand comme matière dans son nouvel établissement.
Okay, and I'm going to play it again for you.
Lucie est élève à son collège depuis 11 mois. C'est la première fois qu'elle étudie l'anglais. Par contre, avant, elle a appris l'allemand pendant 5 ans. Malheureusement, elle ne peut pas choisir l'allemand comme matière dans son nouvel établissement.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the transcript of that, and you're going to listen to it again, and you're going to very carefully follow along with your finger the transcript while you're listening.
Lucie est élève à son collège depuis 11 mois. C'est la première fois qu'elle étudie l'anglais. Par contre, avant, elle a appris l'allemand pendant 5 ans. Malheureusement, elle ne peut pas choisir l'allemand comme matière dans son nouvel établissement.
Okay, so hopefully before I showed you that transcript, you should have chosen your answer. And I'm now going to explain the answer to you. So, 3 options, okay? Now, the way they trick you is that they make reference to the key ideas or the key terms in all 3 of these potential responses. So, Did she start at a secondary school when she was 11? Well, they definitely say the word 11, 11, and what some students might do is they might hear that first sentence, they're already stressed, they're panicking, they hear that first sentence in the exam, Lucie est élève à son collège depuis 11 mois, and they're going to think to themselves, yeah, okay, it must be A because I've heard the word for 11, but no, it doesn't say that she started at her secondary school when she was 11 because it uses mois, not en. Mois means months. So it actually says Lucy is a student at her school since 11 years. In proper English, Lucy has been a student at her school for 11 years. So we know that it's not A, so we're going to cross that off. Always a matter of elimination with these questions of 3. B. So Lucy has studied English for many years. Well, she definitely mentions English because she says anglais, but don't let that trick you. Don't just put that the answer is anglais. Because it says c'est la première fois qu'elle étudie l'anglais. In other words, it's the first time. This word means time, fois, that she studied English. So through a matter of elimination, we already know that the answer is C, that she studied German for 5 years. Let's read the rest of it. On the other hand, before she learnt German for 5 years. And then you would have had your answer, but it adds a little bit at the end, which is a bit superfluous, a bit it's extra to what we need, but it just kind of confirms the answer for us. Unfortunately, elle ne peut pas, she cannot choose German as a subject in her new. Now, établissement it means establishment, but they use it more than we do in English to refer to things like schools. So it is a synonym for college. So they quite often in listening exams will use synonyms for words so that you're listening out for the word college. They think, okay, we're going to put a synonym that they might not know as well, like établissement. So that's a good one to add to your vocab list too. Well done if you got that answer. Don't worry if you didn't. This is a learning process, not an assessment. I won't be taking these grades in. Okay, next one. Lucy finds computing satisfying, boring, or interesting. Now, what I'll suggest with this one is once again, that Emmeline is likely to touch upon all 3 of these answers, but all 3 can't possibly be right. So don't get trapped if you hear the word for satisfying, don't think the answer must be satisfying, etc., etc. Let's play.
Malgré mes notes plus que satisfaisantes, je trouve que mes cours d'informatique ne sont jamais intéressants. D'habitude, je passe l'heure à dormir.
And I will play that again for you.
Malgré mes notes plus que satisfaisantes, je trouve que mes cours d'informatique ne sont jamais intéressants. D'habitude, je passe l'heure à dormir.
Okay then, let's have a look. Does Lucy find computing satisfying or boring or interesting? You should have written your answer down. I'm now going to show you the transcript and you're going to listen again while following the transcript carefully, because this is how you train your ear to understand these recordings, by looking at the text as well, and then eventually you won't need the text.
Malgré mes notes plus que satisfaisantes, je trouve que mes cours d'informatique ne sont jamais intéressants. D'habitude, je passe l'heure à dormir.
Okay, so yes, I was right. Obviously, I was right. I wrote the question. But she does mention the word for satisfying because she says satisfaisante. She does say the word for interesting. She says intéressant. So what is the answer going to be? This is the key word here, malgré, and it's a word that is frequently used in listenings to change the meaning of the sentence, and that students often don't know. Write it down, retain it, learn it. Malgré means despite. So despite my now does not mean notes. Nope. My class should know that not is a false friend. Not are actually grades. So despite my grades more than satisfying, so my more than satisfactory grades, I find that mes cours d'informatique, my lessons of ICT or my ICT lessons ne sont jamais intéressants. So they've said the word intéressant, but it's not necessarily the answer because they use this word jamais, which once again changes the meaning of the sentence. It's a negative formation because we have the ne here. Ne jamais, you will have come across it before. It means never. So I find that my ICT lessons, they're never interesting. So therefore that really would suggest that the answer is B, boring. And that last sentence, it's a bit superfluous again, extra to what we need. However, it does confirm it. D'habitude, which is it's a synonym for normalement, normally. I spend the hour sleeping. Her poor teacher. Right, let's move on to the next question.
Malgré.
Oh, pardon. Right, Lucy's friends, and I just thought to spice things up there, I've got a photograph of myself. C'est moi et mes amis dans un cours d'informatique. So there's me and my friends during an ICT lesson at school a few moons ago. Yeah, wow, the side fringes really were a thing back then. So, did Lucy's friends find computing boring? Do they think that computing is the best subject, or do they enjoy computing? Once again, are all three likely to be alluded to? Let's see.
Mes amis pensent que j'ai tort. Ils ne partagent pas mes sentiments à ce propos, principalement car ils aiment utiliser les ordinateurs en classe. Selon eux, l'informatique serait la meilleure matière si le prof était plus agréable. C'est vrai qu'il est trop sévère.
Okay, and I'll play it again for you.
Mes amis pensent que j'ai tort. Ils ne partagent pas mes sentiments à ce propos, principalement car ils aiment utiliser les ordinateurs en classe. Selon eux, l'informatique serait la meilleure matière si le prof était plus agréable. C'est vrai qu'il est trop sévère.
Okay, a bit more difficult this one. Some vocab that I know my class probably don't know, not their fault, it's because I've not taught it them yet. So, mes amis pensent que j'ai tort. Sorry, it's not me speaking. I'll play the recording again and you can read it through.
Mes amis pensent que j'ai tort. Ils ne partagent pas mes sentiments à ce propos, principalement car ils aiment utiliser les ordinateurs en classe. Selon eux, l'informatique serait la meilleure matière si le prof était plus agréable. C'est vrai qu'il est trop sévère.
Okay, so do they find it boring? So, or do they think it's the best subject? Well, they do say best subject. They say la matière, la meilleure matière. However, we know it's not as straightforward as that. I'll come back to that shortly. So this is something that is used a lot in listening exams. So, like the second speaker or the third person opinion that is given quite often refers to the first person's opinion. So in this situation, they're referring to Lucy's opinion on computing, and she's comparing her friends' opinions. So, mes amis pensent que j'ai tort. J'ai tort, please write it down. It means I am wrong. Okay, I won't write it down because I can't write with this little pen. J'ai tort means I'm wrong. So my friends think that I'm wrong. J'ai tort, please learn it. J'ai raison, like reason, but with R-A-I-S-O-N, would mean I am right, but j'ai tort means I am wrong, or I have wrong, they say in French. So we know that Lucy thinks it's boring, and her friends think that she's wrong, so it can't be A, that she finds that her friends find it boring. Il ne partage pas mes sentiments à ce propos. This is another way that they, in listening exams, that they compare opinions. So it says here, il ne partage pas mes sentiments. We've got this negative construction, ne and pas. From your technology module, remember the expression j'aime partager les photos sur Facebook. I like to share photos on Facebook. So what do you think il ne partage pas might mean? Well, it means they do not share. My sentiment means feelings. À ce propos means when it comes to this. So, principalement, mainly, because ils aiment utiliser les ordinateurs en classe, they like using computers in class. And to be honest, I imagine this would be the phrase that would have given away the answer to you, that it's going to be one of the positive ones, either B or C. Is it the best subject? Well, according to them, ICT serait. This conditional form of être is really key here, means would be. So ICT would be the best subject. So another example here, they're saying la meilleure matière, so someone might straight away hear that and think, yeah, they're saying it's the best subject. But actually that word serait is key. Would be the best subject si, if the teacher was plus agréable, nicer, and c'est vrai qu'il est trop sévère. It's true that he's too strict. So even though the teacher's strict, they do enjoy computing because they like using the computers, but they don't. It's not necessarily the best subject because of the teacher. That is the answer. Okay, next question.
Mes amis.
Oh, pardon. The computing teacher, we're going to go into a bit more detail on him now. Does he often give homework? Does he give detentions to everyone? Or is he not fair, according to Lucy?
Le prof d'informatique donne rarement des devoirs, mais il donne des retenues à toute la classe, sauf à ses préférés, bien sûr. Ce n'est pas juste.
Okay, let's listen to it again and write down your answer.
Le prof d'informatique donne rarement des devoirs, mais il donne des retenues à toute la classe, sauf à ses préférés, bien sûr. Ce n'est pas juste.
Okay. Now read it through while listening.
Le prof d'informatique donne rarement des devoirs, mais il donne des retenues à toute la classe, sauf à ses préférés, bien sûr. Ce n'est pas juste.
Okay. So, I'm going to talk this through with you once again. They've mentioned the word for homework, which is devoir. They've mentioned the word for detentions, which is retenu. And they've said that it isn't fair. Ce n'est pas juste. So we need to look at this in a little bit more detail, which is easy when you've got it in front of you as written down, I know. But if you start to kind of see the way the examiners are thinking when they're writing the questions, hopefully it will help. It will, start to help you, and when you're listening independently without the support of the transcript. So, le prof d'informatique donne rarement des devoirs. Now, this is something that they do quite a lot in these questions. So, always look out to see if they've given a frequency phrase. So, often is a frequency phrase. Does he often give homework? Well, no, because the frequency phrase that is stated in the listening is rarement, which we know is rarely. So, he rarely gives homework, so it's not going to be that one. Mais il donne des retenues à toute la classe. But he gives detentions. If you didn't know that word, please make sure it's written down. To all the class. So straight away, you're going to think that this is the answer. Well, yeah, he gives detentions to everyone. However, this is the key word here. Sauf. This is what needs to be written down in big letters, highlighted, stars around it, etc., etc. Sauf means except. So, which totally turns the meaning on its head. He gives detentions to all the class except his favourites, of course. It is not fair. So he doesn't give detentions to everyone because, he doesn't give them to his favourites. So the answer is going to be C. He's not fair, according to Lucy.
Le prof d'informatique.
Okay, so now we're moving on to a different topic. Circumstance is there's been an incident that's affected the local supermarket, and you're about to hear what happened. So it's like a newspaper report or a radio news report. So yesterday, the local supermarket incurred severe damage due to what? And just to help you out here, my class, you haven't done the environment topic yet. So to help you out with the words to be listening out for, an earthquake is a tremblement de terre, a shaking, a tremble of the earth. Flooding is inondation, and roadworks are les travaux.
Vous vous souvenez sans doute du tremblement de terre l'année dernière et de son impact catastrophique sur nos entreprises locales. Hier, notre supermarché en a été victime encore une fois. Cette fois-ci, c'était des inondations importantes.
Okay. Play it again.
Vous vous souvenez sans doute du tremblement de terre l'année dernière et de son impact catastrophique sur nos entreprises locales. Hier, notre supermarché en a été victime encore une fois. Cette fois-ci, c'était des inondations importantes.
Right. Let's read and listen this time.
Vous vous souvenez sans doute du tremblement de terre l'année dernière et de son impact catastrophique sur nos entreprises locales. Hier, notre supermarché en a été victime encore une fois. Cette fois-ci, c'était des inondations importantes.
Yeah, well done to those of you who spotted. Peut-être here, she actually said sans doute, which is without doubt, not peut-être. I forgot to change it. So now you're not gonna understand all of that in a listening exam, like this superfluous stuff, this extra stuff like vous vous souvenez peut-être du tremblement de terre. It's just a bit of poetic license. This bit means you will remember, of course, or perhaps about, okay, and this is the bit that matters. Tremblement de terre l'année dernière. So it mentions the earthquake, but the earthquake was l'année dernière, last year. So this is another one of the question writer's traps. In the question, they will write a certain time phrase like yesterday, and then they'll try and trip you up by using a different time phrase in the recording. So make sure that in your question you underline any time phrases. So I would be circling or underlining yesterday, remembering that yesterday is hier. That's what we need to listen out for. So basically, this earthquake last year had a catastrophic impact on local entreprise, business, like our word for enterprise. Hier, now this is what we need to be listening for. Yesterday, notre supermarché en a été victime encore une fois. So our supermarket was a victim of, once again, encore is again. Cette fois-ci, so this time, c'était des inondations importantes. We know that inondation is flooding, but we've also got the word for important there, which is in C, important roadworks. Don't be tricked by that. Important can mean important in French, but it can also mean serious. So serious flooding, that's referring to. So the answer is actually B. So bravo si vous avez mis B. Well done if you put B, and if you didn't, don't worry, we are learning. These are all hard questions.
Vous vous souvenez sans...
Okay, next question. So the boss of the supermarket, did she close the shop or ignore the situation, or did they deal with the situation virtually? Let's listen.
Le patron a envoyé un message à ses employés sur les réseaux sociaux pour demander aux vendeurs de fermer le magasin.
And again, encore, une fois. We've just learned that encore means again.
Le patron a envoyé un message à ses employés sur les réseaux sociaux pour demander aux vendeurs de fermer le magasin.
Okay, and let's read.
Le patron a envoyé un message à ses employés sur les réseaux sociaux pour demander aux vendeurs de fermer le magasin.
So, Did he close the shop? Because it's mentioned, close is fermé. Did he ignore the situation or did he deal with it virtually? So le patron, if you didn't know, is the boss. The boss, envoyer, remember from the technology module, envoyer un message is send a message to his employees sur les réseaux sociaux, on social media, oh dear, pour demander, to ask the sales assistant to shut the shop. So, did he close the shop? No. Did he ignore the situation? Not really. He dealt with the situation virtually. The key term would have been les réseaux sociaux.
Le patron a...
Okay, the supermarket employees, do they feel more appreciated now than ever by their boss? Did they go on strike or are they going to go on strike?
Les salariés ne se sentent plus appréciés par le gérant de l'entreprise et ils ont l'intention de faire grève.
And again?
Les salariés ne se sentent plus appréciés par le gérant de l'entreprise et ils ont l'intention de faire grève.
Okay. Is it A, B or C? Write your answer down now. Okay, and now read while listening.
Les salariés ne se sentent plus appréciés par le gérant de l'entreprise et ils ont l'intention de faire grève.
Right, the first thing to remark here is that they've used synonyms again. So they've used other words than the ones you necessarily are familiar with to describe key terms. So, for example, firstly, les salariés. It's another word for employés. Okay, it doesn't mean salaries. It's salary. It means workers. So the workers, and we've also got le gérant. Le gérant is another word for le patron, so it's another word for boss or manager. So, do they feel more appreciated now than ever by their boss? So, I wrote this question with this in mind. We all know that plus, or we should do, plus means more. So you might have heard plus and thought, okay, they feel more appreciated now by their boss. However, plus completely changes its meaning when accompanied by ne. Les salariés ne se sentent plus appréciés. So that is the workers don't feel, because sent means feel, don't feel appreciated anymore. Plus on its own means more. Ne and plus becomes any more. So je mange plus de viande que toi, would be I eat more meat than you. Je ne mange plus de viande would be I don't eat meat anymore. Totally changes the sense of the sentence. So watch out for that. Plus and ne plus. So if you hear plus on the first time you listen to something, make a note of it. Then the second time you listen to it, see if you can hear the ne, which would make it any more or no more. So we know that it's not this. They don't feel appreciated by him anymore. At the end of the day, he's just in a disaster, told them to close shop and show social media while he stayed at home. Now we're looking at tenses. Did they go on strike, past tense, or are they going to go on strike, future tense? Well, we've got here, ils ont l'intention de, which is a phrase that is used a lot for the future tense. They have the intention to go on strike. So it's going to be C. That is the answer. Not D. I don't know what's going on there. The answer is C.
Les salariés.
Okay. Next one. Who is this job being offered to? Now, we've moved away from the 3 option questions. And this time you need to write a response in English. Usually a very short response. And often in these questions, they trick you less than in those multiple choice questions. So you might look at this and think, oh, it's getting difficult now. Actually, they're usually easier.
Vous faites une année sabbatique? Évitez l'ennui en présentant votre candidature pour cet emploi sans pareil. Découvrez le monde sans rien payer.
So, Listen again, but be aware that more information is given than you need, so you need to just pick out the answer. Oops. Play it again.
Vous faites une année sabbatique? Évitez l'ennui en présentant votre candidature pour cet emploi sans pareil. Découvrez le monde sans rien payer.
Okay, who is this job being offered to? Listen again and read.
Vous faites une année sabbatique? Évitez l'ennui en présentant votre candidature pour cet emploi sans pareil. Découvrez le monde sans rien payer.
Who is the job being offered to? Well, anyone who does an année sabbatique. It says, vous faites une année sabbatique. Une année sabbatique is a gap year. Okay, so this is a key term. Une année sabbatique. I don't think my class will have known this, so write this down as a new term. Une année sabbatique means a gap year. So are you doing a gap year? That is the answer. If you want to know what the rest means, éviter l'ennui. Éviter is another word that they use a lot in listening exams and that people rarely know. It means avoid. So avoid boredom by this en présentant, this en formation means by something ing. So by presenting your candidature, your application for this job, sans pareil. Sans is another word that is used a lot in listenings. It means without. Sans pareil literally means without the same. So it's a one of a kind. Sans pareil means one of a kind. You're unlikely to see it, I think, but you are likely to see sans on its own. Découvrez le monde sans rien payer. Discover the world, sans, you should know is without, paying anything.
Vous faites une...
Okay, when applying for this job, what do you not, and normally that not would be in bold, have to do? Let's listen.
Pour postuler pour ce poste, c'est obligatoire d'envoyer votre CV et une lettre de motivation. Mais ça ne vaut pas la peine d'envoyer une photo.
Listen again.
Pour postuler pour ce poste, c'est obligatoire d'envoyer votre CV et une lettre de motivation. Mais ça ne vaut pas la peine d'envoyer une photo.
Okay. And read it at the same time.
Pour postuler pour ce poste, c'est obligatoire d'envoyer votre CV et une lettre de motivation. Mais ça ne vaut pas la peine d'envoyer une photo.
Okay. What do we think? So, pour postuler, some key terms here that I don't think you'll know that you need to write down on your vocab list. So, pour postuler, postuler means to apply. Okay, so to apply for this post is position. To apply for this position, c'est obligatoire, so it's obligatory to send a CV and a cover letter, lettre de motivation, so cover letter. So some of you might have heard CV and you might have written that down as your answer, but it's actually saying it's obligatory to send a CV. You need to be looking for what you don't have to send. Mais, so we now know it's going to give us the answer because it's giving a connective. We're always listening out for those connectives. But, and even if you don't know what ça ne vaut pas la peine means, you should be able to pick out that the answer is envoyer une photo. Envoyer meaning send. Une photo is obviously a photo. Ça ne vaut pas la peine, they might use it. It's an expression which means it's not worth it. So it's not worth it to send a photo. Yeah, in France, traditionally, people include photographs on their CVs, and I'm pretty sure it's being phased out now, something we don't do in the UK.
Pour postuler pour...
Okay, what are the two advantages of applying for this job? So this is 2 marks. You get 1 mark for each of them.
Au lieu de recevoir un salaire, on peut gagner de l'expérience pour l'avenir. Ça offre l'occasion de voyager et en même temps d'aider les gens dans le besoin.
Okay, listen to it again.
Au lieu de recevoir un salaire, on peut gagner de l'expérience pour l'avenir. Ça offre l'occasion de voyager et en même temps d'aider les gens dans le besoin.
Okay, so we're looking for the advantages. Read and listen.
Au lieu de recevoir un salaire, on peut gagner de l'expérience pour l'avenir. Ça offre l'occasion de voyager et en même temps d'aider les gens dans le besoin.
Yeah, let me just add the little C there under the C for ça. Right, so if you put you get a salary or a good salary, I'm afraid that's wrong, and that is once again how I was trying to catch you out. This is the key term here that I don't think my class will know because we've not done the module that it appears in yet, the environment. But au lieu de could be used in any topic. It means instead of. So instead of receiving a salary, so you know that's not an advantage. On peut gagner de l'expérience. So if you put gain experience, that would be a mark. By the way, I'm sorry that I'm not writing these answers down. I should have added them in on the animations, but I didn't. So you just have to put up with listening to me for the answers. So gain experience for the future. Ça offre l'occasion de voyager. It offers the opportunity to travel. So you could have put to travel, which is voyager. Et en même temps d'aider les gens dans le besoin. And you could have put to help people in need. And you should have remembered what gens dans le besoin meant from the charities topic. Et voilà. So you could have put any of those three and you would have got 2 marks. But you couldn't have put receive a salary.
Au lieu de recevoir...
Okay, why should you apply soon? 1 mark. I've not even written it, put a line. There we go. There's your line to answer that question.
Ne tardez pas, il y avait 20 postes et maintenant il en reste seulement 6.
And again.
Ne tardez pas, il y avait 20 postes et maintenant il en reste seulement 6.
And again.
Ne tardez pas, il y avait 20 postes et maintenant il en reste seulement 6.
So we need to be able to identify what il y avait means. And il y avait means there were. So there were 20 posts, 20 positions, if you like, places. And now il en reste. Il reste, it means he stays, but it also means there remains. So there remains seulement. This is a key term which is used a lot in listenings, which can often clarify answers. There remains only 6. So if you put an answer like there are only 6 places remaining, or there aren't many places left, you'd probably get the mark. You wouldn't get.
Ne tardez pas, il y avait 20 postes et maintenant il en reste seulement 6.
You wouldn't get the mark for saying there are 20 positions because there were 20 positions and now there aren't. Okay, moving on. The next type of question is basically where you have to choose 3 true statements. So there are 6 statements listed A to F. You need to listen to the recording and choose the 3 that are true. So I would always read them through first, get your head around them before listening. So apprenticeships are paid badly. The candidate enjoyed the interview. The candidate was surprised to get the job. The candidate is unsure whether to start a degree next month. The candidate received a phone call to tell him he got the job, or the candidate has his own place. Firstly, I think it's a girl who's talking, so I'm not sure why I put he and him. Bref, on s'en fiche. We'll just ignore that. A lot of these are likely to be mentioned, but again, we need to be using the same tactics as we've used previously to make sure we don't fall into any traps. So I would suggest listening, well, obviously listening, and eliminating any that can't be true while you're listening.
Il y a ceux qui disent qu'un apprentissage, c'est toujours mal payé. Ils ont tort. Moi, je gagne assez pour payer le loyer et l'année dernière, je me suis même acheté une voiture. Le seul inconvénient pour moi, c'était l'entretien. Je suis quelqu'un de très timide et l'idée de parler avec un inconnu ne me dit rien du tout. J'étais sûre de l'avoir échoué, donc quelle joie quand on m'a appelé pour me dire que j'avais été prise. Si je veux, je peux faire une licence l'année prochaine, mais je dois y réfléchir.
Okay, this one, guys, is hard. It is difficult. There are some words that I think you should know. So I'm just going to put because I don't think I've taught you, well, my class have not taught you them properly yet. So I'm just going to pause and then I'm going to put some words on the screen quickly. Okay, here's my little box of vocab to help you, which now covers the responses, which isn't particularly helpful, but we will go with it. Entretien is interview, échouer is fail, inconnu is stranger, licence is degree. So listen again and see if that helps.
Il y a ceux qui disent qu'un apprentissage, c'est toujours mal payé. Ils ont tort. Moi, je gagne assez pour payer le loyer et l'année dernière, je me suis même acheté une voiture. Le seul inconvénient pour moi, c'était l'entretien. Je suis quelqu'un de très timide et l'idée de parler avec un inconnu ne me dit rien du tout. J'étais sûre de l'avoir échoué, donc quelle joie quand on m'a appelé pour me dire que j'avais été prise. Si je veux, je peux faire une licence l'année prochaine, mais je dois y réfléchir.
Okay, really difficult. However, these questions are difficult, but you've got a 50-50 chance of getting, well, not really 50-50 chance, but, you know, there are 6 options. If you put, well, it is 50-50 chance, isn't it? Of course it is. Gosh, maths isn't my strong point. If you put 3 random answers without even any consideration for what you've heard, the likelihood is that you'll get 1.5 of those correct, so 1 or 2 of them right. So that's another thing. If you're not sure of the answer with these multiple choice questions, it would be silly not to at least write a random letter. So listen again while reading.
Il y a ceux qui disent qu'un apprentissage, c'est toujours mal payé. Ils ont tort. Moi, je gagne assez pour payer le loyer et l'année dernière, je me suis même acheté une voiture. Le seul inconvénient pour moi, c'était l'entretien. Je suis quelqu'un de très timide et l'idée de parler avec un inconnu ne me dit rien du tout. J'étais sûre de l'avoir échoué, donc quelle joie quand on m'a appelé pour me dire que j'avais été prise. Si je veux, je peux faire une licence l'année prochaine, mais je dois y réfléchir.
All right, then, let's tackle this. So are they paid badly, apprenticeships? Looking at A. This is our key term here that you need to be writing down. I've seen this phrase in a lot of past papers, and I kick myself that I've not taught my students that. So, il y a ceux qui disent que. There are those, so it means those, who say that. So he's basically saying some people say that. So there are those that say that an apprenticeship is always badly paid. So you might have heard mal payé and rightly thought, okay, apprenticeships are paid badly. But if you hadn't understood the first bit, you're going to assume that apprenticeships are badly paid. But he goes on to say, ils ont tort, which we know now from our previous question that it means they are wrong. Okay, j'ai tort is I'm wrong, ils ont tort, they are wrong. So we know it's not going to be this one, and then he goes into a bit more detail. Moi, je gagne assez. Me, I earn. If you didn't know that gagne means earn, write it down. Assez enough to pay the, I don't think you'll know this one, loyer means rent. So write that down too. Et l'année dernière, je me suis même, why am I putting an S at the end of même? Je me suis même acheté une voiture. I even bought myself a car. So they're not badly paid. And if you hadn't understood any of that, you might have heard and understood l'année dernière, je me suis même acheté une voiture and thought to yourself, well, if he's buying a car, he can't be paid that badly. So anyway, Le seul inconvénient, they say this a lot in listening and readings too, the only disadvantage was l'entretien. If we didn't know what this means, it means interview. So the only disadvantage, it was the interview. So did he enjoy the interview? At the moment, we're thinking no, because he says it's a disadvantage. Moi, je suis quelqu'un de très timide, so he's a very shy person. Et l'idée de parler, the idea of talking with her, we know that inconnu means stranger. Ne me dis rien du tout. This is another way of giving a negative opinion. Rather than saying je déteste, I hate all the time, you could include this in your writing. Ne me dis rien du tout says it means it says nothing to me. So it really doesn't speak out to me. I don't like that idea. So he doesn't like the idea of talking with a stranger. J'étais sûre, there we go. I was sure to have échoué, means failed. So, quelle joie, what joy, when one called me to tell me that I had been taken, prise, I'd been accepted. So he was surprised, and even if you didn't get all of that, and you wouldn't have got all of that because it's really high level stuff, quelle joie, what joy, kind of shows that, you know, an element of surprise. So, is he unsure whether to start a degree next month? Si je veux, je peux faire. So, if I want, I can do a degree, licence's degree, next year, but I must reflect on it. So, he's unsure. Je dois y réfléchir is something I've seen used a few times in listening exams to express uncertainty. Other things that express uncertainty, je ne suis pas sûre, I'm not sure. But je dois y réfléchir, I must think about it, also expresses that. Did he receive a phone call to tell him he got the job? Well, yeah, somewhere here it says, quand on m'a appelé, when one called me. So that is also the answer. The candidate has his own place. We're not sure. I mean, he earns enough to pay the rent. We don't know if it's, you know, his rent or his parents' rent. If I'm being honest, initially I wanted that to be a correct answer because it says that he paid rent, but now I've messed up and written four correct answers instead of three. So yeah, oh well. Voilà.
Il y a ceux qui...
So the next type of question, you have to identify the type of problem. Was it in the past? What was the past problem? What was the present problem? What was the future problem? The context is this is a mayor addressing a meeting and talking about the local school and the problems they've been facing and will face in the future. So listen carefully.
À présent, il y a des nouvelles maisons en construction à côté de l'école. Dans certaines salles de classe, le bruit est tellement fort que ça empêche l'apprentissage des élèves. On estime que la population de la ville va augmenter de 2000 habitants dans 5 ans, ce qui veut dire qu'on ne pourra pas offrir assez de place pour tous les enfants du quartier. Malgré ces difficultés, je suis ravie d'annoncer que notre nouveau car de ramassage a mis fin aux problèmes de circulation qu'on a connus auparavant.
Okay, so the difficulty here is you have to be listening to the whole thing and picking out 3 separate elements. I'll play it again. You need to be listening out for time phrases that refer to the past, present, and future to help you.
À présent, il y a des nouvelles maisons en construction à côté de l'école. Dans certaines salles de classe, le bruit est tellement fort que ça empêche l'apprentissage des élèves. On estime que la population de la ville va augmenter de 2000 habitants dans 5 ans, ce qui veut dire qu'on ne pourra pas offrir assez de place pour tous les enfants du quartier. Malgré ces difficultés, je suis ravie d'annoncer que notre nouveau car de ramassage a mis fin aux problèmes de circulation qu'on a connus auparavant.
Really hard, but let's give it our best shot while reading.
À présent, il y a des nouvelles maisons en construction à côté de l'école. Dans certaines salles de classe, le bruit est tellement fort que ça empêche l'apprentissage des élèves. On estime que la population de la ville va augmenter de 2000 habitants dans 5 ans, ce qui veut dire qu'on ne pourra pas offrir assez de place pour tous les enfants du quartier. Malgré ces difficultés, je suis ravie d'annoncer que notre nouveau car de ramassage a mis fin aux problèmes de circulation qu'on a connus auparavant.
Okay, well done if you got any of these. So, firstly, à présent. À présent means currently, okay? Aujourd'hui, today is another word that could have been used, but à présent means presently. At the moment, there are new houses being built à côté de, next to the school. So that you could have written that as the problem, new houses being built next to the school. You would have got a mark. Or you could have written this, dans certaines salles de classe, so in certain classrooms, le bruit, the noise, is so loud et tellement fort que ça empêche l'apprentissage des élèves. So we know that apprentissage means learning. It comes from the verb apprendre. Empêche, I don't think you'll know what it means, and it is important. It's one of those little words that are used a lot, that is used a lot in listening. Empêche means prevents. So what does that mean then? You're right, the noise is so loud that it prevents the learning of students. So that you could have written that, that it's too noisy in the classrooms to learn. Or you could have put the learning of students is prevented. That would have got you a mark for present problem here. Past problem. Let's look at where it says about the past. Well, we'll do that one afterwards. It's best to go to our future problem first. So, on estime que, one estimates that or guesses that the population of the town is going to augmenter. Quite often in listenings and readings, they use this word augmenter, and we don't cover it enough in class. It means to increase. So the population of the town, so a good way of remembering it is obviously if you have, for example, a breast augmentation, that increases the size of your breasts. So it means to increase. There we go. So we estimate that the population of the town is going to increase by 2,000 residents in 5 years. So that's a problem. So you could have put population increase as the future problem, but even better, ce qui veut dire, which means qu'on ne pourra pas offrir assez de place pour tous les enfants du quartier. We won't be able to offer enough places for all of the students, all of the children in the area. Quartier means area. Any of those words that are new to you, like offrir, to offer, write it down. Malgré, who can remember what malgré means? Well, it means despite. Despite these difficulties, je suis ravie. I'm very happy, that means. To announce that notre nouveau car de ramassage. Oops. So you might not know this, but a car, you should know, the type of transport, and it doesn't mean car, but it means coach. Well done if you got that. Our new coach, so de ramassage means pickup coach, so like a school bus, a mis fin, has put an end, that's a good phrase, a mis fin, put an end to the problems of circulation. Circulation is traffic, like circulation, lots of cars circulating. Qu'on a connu auparavant, that we knew auparavant, is our time phrase to tell us that it's the past tense. Auparavant is another word for avant, just a bit posher. It means before. So the past problem was traffic problems. The present problem, the construction of houses or the noise which is preventing learning, and the future problem is going to be that there won't be enough places for all of the students or population increase. Well done if you got any of those, but also it was really hard. So I hope that you've got some new words from that task. Notably, à présent and auparavant, the time phrases. empêche, prevent, augmenter, increase, car de ramassage, school bus, circulation, traffic. You need to learn those for me, please, because in the next video I'm going to be testing your knowledge of those of all of the new words that we've covered today. I'm starting to lose my words, goodness me. I've been talking for far too long, 55 minutes now. So I'm going to end this recording here and then we will do part 2 next time. Merci.